الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا احد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا احد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم إن رحمة الله قريب من المحسنين وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين وعلى آله الطاهرين وأصحابه الطيبين أجمعين يا ربنا لك الحمد أن جعلتنا من أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فاجز عنا سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم خير ما جزيت نبيا عن أمته اللهم ارزقنا اتباع سنته في الحياة الدنيا واللقاء به في الدنيا والآخرة يا رب العالمين اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم يسر لنا أمورنا مع الراحة لقلوبنا وأبداننا والسلامة والعافية في ديننا ودنيانا وصل وسلم يا ربي وجل وعظم وأنعم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين
صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله وسلم عليك يا حبيب الله चमन चमन की दिलकशी गुलों की है मुताज़गी है चाँद जिन से शबनमी वो कहकशा की روشنی فضاؤں کی وہ راگنی ہواؤں کی وہ نغمگی فضاؤں کی وہ راگنی ہواؤں کی وہ نغمگی ہے کتنا پیارا نام بھی نبی 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 وہ آمد بہار ہے وہ نور کی قطار ہے فضا بھی خوشگوار ہے ہوا بھی مشکبار ہے وہ آمد بہار ہے وہ نور کی قطار ہے فضا بھی خوشگوار ہے ہوا بھی مشکبار ہے ہوا سے جب میں نے کہا ہوا سے میں نے جب کہا یہ کون آ گیا بتا ہوا پکارتی چلی نبی 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 زمین بنے زماں بنے مکی بنے مکہ بنے چنی بنے چنا بنے وہ وجہ کن فکا بنے زمین بنے زماں بنے مکی بنے مکہ بنے چنی بنے چنا بنے وہ وجہ کن فکا بنے کہاں یہ میں نے ہے خدا یہ کس کے صدقے میں بنا کہاں یہ میں نے ہے خدا یہ کس کے صدقے میں بنا تو رب نے بھی کہا یہی نبی 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 نبی
الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وعلى آله وأصحابه بالصدق والصفاء ما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه العظيم في شأن حبيبه مخبرا وآمرا قولا كريما إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا وكريمنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين صلاة وسلاما عليك يا سيدي يا حبيبي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا رحمة للعالمين. Honorable, respected, revered ulama kiram, my respected elders, dear brothers, beloved children, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. All praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cherisher and sustainer of the world, and precious blessings and salutations upon Nabi Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, by the grace and by the fadl and by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once again we are seated in the masjid and we have taken out our time to be present here to spend this time to listen about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to learn about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And may Allah accept our sitting, our hearing, our talking, and may this become somewhat a means of our salvation in the hereafter as well. Ameen, thumma ameen. The discussion continues and we are
talking about the physical appearance of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Last night we had somewhat a discussion pertaining to this, and we also had a difference in terms of the beauty of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam and the reality of the beauty of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We mentioned this couplet, Husn Yusuf ke kabin Misr mein angushte zana sarkataate hain tere naam pe mardane arab. The beauty of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam in comparison and versus only the blessed name of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was invited by Sayyidah Zulaykha and she pleaded to him to somewhat tilt his veil, and whereas on the other hand, just upon the name of the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, his followers, meaning the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, are ready to sacrifice themselves and are ready to even be beheaded if so be it. The word kati in this stanza is of the past tense. That means it happened, it was done, they cut their fingers, so it was a once-off situation, a once-off scenario. And this was without intention. Because when Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam came before them and he tilted his veil and they began to see the beauty of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, unintentionally they cut their fingers. And again we are talking here that it is Egypt versus Arabia. And the fifth point is that it is women versus men. I'm not going into the issues of liberalism that we face today, be that as it may. It's got nothing to do with our topic of today. However, the fingers of the ladies in comparison to the fingers of the men, we will get to know as we go on in our discussion. The beauty of the female fingers is in their slenderness. And the beauty of the male fingers is in its strength, it's in its robustness, and the firmness, the grip of the fingers is determined in that way. And Shah Abdul Haq says about his father, Shah Abdul Rahim that real beauty spells out its own beauty. And as we say in English, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But this beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam is dictative beauty. That when you see the beauty, this sweet beauty will attract you in such a way that you are actually immersed in this beauty and that you are awestruck and that you are intrigued by the beauty. That is this also somewhat a reality of beauty, where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala veiled the actual beauty of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam by 70,000 different veils. Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, who was a tall person, he was the uncle of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And there was a close attachment between them. And Sahaba Ikram was asked him that who is bigger? You or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? And he says, هو أكبر منه. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is greater than me. Not bigger, not more in age. But he says he's greater than me. There's no comparison. وأكبر مني وأنا أصغر منه. I am just a few years elder than him. But in terms of greatness, there's no comparison. He is Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Hazrat Abdullah bin Burayda radiallahu ta'ala anhu describes the feet Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he says, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أحسن البشر قدما. The most beautiful feet ever seen, or the most beautiful feet that ever traversed this earth, was the feet Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, as we know, said Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam from a very tender age, and he would say that I served Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, I was a child, but he never scolded me. I was a child, and he never rebuked me. But in my childhood, he would guide me, he would correct me, he would tell me things. And I know some of that which Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has not mentioned to others. And he says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the souls, the blessed souls of the feet Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam were always in the best form, in all proportion, it seemed full. We know the fact that even when we stand in our sufuf in Salah, and we find that, the feet can be the most detesting thing. We know in our masajid also, this does happen, people come in and just quickly when they leave that which is found between their toes and they go away from here, and you see the little remnants that they have left, not knowing that this can, cause disturbances and illness to others. We believe that who knows, maybe someone tomorrow is going to put their forehead on that very same place. We need to be cautious of this. But at the same time, we also do understand that if the feet are not in the best of shape, some people don't take care of their heels and kind of stretch, etc., then it is detestable. So when you look at the feet Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that they were the best feet, absolutely proportionate, and they look meaty and they look full in every way. قدم سائے کے سائے مرحمت ذل ممدوع رافق کے لاکھوں سلام. سیدہ حضرت میمونہ بنت کرزم رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ says she was a little child and she accompanied her father to Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam when the announcement for the departure of the farewell Hajj of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was made. And all arrangements were in place, and those Sahaba that did not accompany Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they flocked to meet with Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on his departure for Hajj. She says, when I arrived, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was already mounted on his camel. And I was a little girl, perhaps 8 or 9 years of age. And in the level of my eye, I caught the glimpse of the foot Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And she says, I stood awestruck, just looking at the foot of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then she goes on and says, particularly the toe next to the big toe, which was slender, slightly longer in proportion than the big toe, and that causes the beauty in terms of formation of the foot, that contributes to the beauty of the foot, slightly longer than the big toe. She says, but my eyes got stuck on that particular toe of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then it is stated that even in her old age, wherever she would sit, about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she would proudly say, I saw the foot Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let me tell you how I saw the foot of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and how it is firmly embedded in my memory. And we can understand this. The poet says, قدموں میں جبیں کو رہنے دو چہرے کا تصور مشکل ہے جب چاند سے بڑھ کر ایوی ہے رخسار کا عالم کیا ہوگا Let my forehead remain rested upon your feet, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For the exalted beauty of the blessed face cannot be imagined. Let my vision, let my sight be rested on your feet, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I dare not raise my vision to look at your blessed face, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it says in the end of the chapter, if this is the beauty of the heels of the blessed feet of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what can you say about the blessed face? What would the realm of the cheeks of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's face be? So the feet Mubarak of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sahaba say when he used to walk, he would walk with his foot firmly placed on the ground. And many would see sometimes that it is as though the earth would be waiting to embrace the feet of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There are many instances where we find the blessed footprint of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam even in stone, which means that by virtue of the touch of the foot of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam caused the stone to be mellowed, to be softened, and the imprint of the foot be embedded in the stone even. And there are a number of instances recorded like this. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's walk would be determined by the occasion. Once Sahaba Ikram Ridwanullah ta'ala alayhi ajma'in seen that the Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam was walking on his fours. That which you and I will say that, when children say to one another, we will tippy-toe, like that on your fours. And Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was walking on his fours in Medina al-Munawwarah. Sahaba Kiram Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in then asked Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam after the advent, Ya Rasulullah, today in this procession, in this funeral procession, you walk very differently. And may we learn the reasons for this, so that if it's necessary, that if we are behind the funeral procession, does it mean that we also have to walk like this? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved Hazrat Sa'd radiallahu ta'ala anhu so much that he dispatched 70,000 malaika, 70,000 angels to be participants in the funeral of Hazrat Sa'd radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And wherever I looked, there was no sufficient space because the angels were surrounded, and that is what caused me to walk on my forehead. Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu says about the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ali ibn Abi Talib قال لم يكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالطويل ولا بالقصير شحم الكفين والقدمين ضحك الرأس ضحك الكرابيس إلى آخر الحديث. Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu says the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was neither tall nor was he short, endowed with sturdy hands and feet, strong head and limbs, lengthy hair. And as far as the hair is concerned, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would grow it to his earlobes. And from there, when it would grow, it would grow to the middle of the neck, sometimes to the touch of the shoulder, and then Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would have it cut back to the length of the earlobes. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam always walked, and when people viewed the walk of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they would look at his feet and they would assume that Rasul sallallahu alayhi, it seemed as though Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was coming down the slope. Wherever he walked, whatever the surface was, it seemed as though he's coming down the slope, meaning that he leaned a bit forward, his eyes were fixed to the ground, and he would walk in a very, very dignified way. जिसके आगे सरे सरवरा खम रहे उस सरे ताज रिफात पे लाखों सलाम शफल कफ़ेन. Muhaddisin refer to this particular term referring to both the palms and the soles of the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the palms of the hand and the soles of the feet of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is stated that they were full, they appeared neatly, appropriate, absolutely balanced in thickness, no match for the strength in the palms of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Qadamain, meaning the soles mubarak of the feet, were also meaty, meaning the flesh of the feet were perfection personified. There was no more perfection that could be found in comparison to that perfection of the feet of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We do understand the fact here that the beauty of a man in the proportionate of the fingers is when they are thick and powerful in appearance, and in comparison to the slenderness of the female finger, which contributes to the beauty of the hand of a female. Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu once again narrates here, he says that he never came across anything that was more soft, more smooth, more silky-like than the blessed hand of Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Commentators of hadith say that the softness was overflowing from the skin of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the firmness, power, and strength were in the bones of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The hands of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I will divert for a minute here and I will explain. On an occasion, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was leading salah. And whilst leading salah, Sahaba Ikram, Jama'at of Sahaba Ikram behind Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they took note of everything that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did. There are two narrations. One refers to grapes and one refers to dates. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whilst in salah, extended his hand and then retracted it. After salah, Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, we noticed an extraordinary act. Is there something else that we have to add in our salah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, no. I was leading you in salah, and my eyes were looking in Jannah. There's no restriction to the vision of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Standing in Madinatul Munawwara, in Masjid al-Nabawi, leading Sahaba Ikram in the salah in Jama'at, he says, I was looking in Jannah. Where is Jannah? Anyone? Who wants to go there? Definitely me. I want to go. I don't know about you. Anyone? You all want to go, Jannah, isn't it? MashaAllah, subhanallah. We all want to go to Jannah. Where's Jannah? Look at Quran. عند سدرة المنتهى عندها جنة المأوى. Beyond the heavens of السماوات العلى. There is Jannah. It is stated that if you have a full-blooded Arabian horse, you need 500 years to travel vertically from this earth to the first heaven. 500 years to cross the first heaven. 500 years between the heavens. And as ummatis of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we plead for the intercession of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for shafa'at of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we will go because Jibreel alayhi salatu wa salam made a dua. And at this particular point he says, at the point of departure, Sidratul Muntaha, Jibreel says, I can't go beyond this. Agar yaksare muye barkar param, foroge kajalli basozat param. If I have to raise my foot, the equivalent of a hair's breadth, Allah will burn my wings. Says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I have 600 wings. And if I spread my wings, one wing spreads from east to west. And my request to you, Ya Rasulullah, is to take my dua because you are going there in the public. So take my dua and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that on the day of Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must grant me permission to lay my wings on full sirat so that your ummah can pass with me. Subhanallah. For our benefit. Jibreel alayhi salatu wa salam says, قَدَّبْتُ الْأَرْضَ مَشَارِقَهَا وَمَغَارِبَهَا فَمَا رَأَيْتَ مِثْلَ مُحَمَّدًا. I've traversed the earth, the heavens, the universe between the earth and the heavens, and I have traversed and I have scanned the earth from east to west. I have not seen any in the life of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam standing on the Musalla in Masjid al-Nabawi, and he extended his hand, meaning he was looking into Jannah, and then he retracted his hand. And when Sahaba asked him after Salah, Ya Rasulullah, what was this extraordinary action? He said, I looked into Jannah and I saw beautiful dates, and I thought I will bring some from there for you. Then I realized that if I have to bring that fruit of Jannah here, my ummah will be eating it until Qiyamah, and it will not get finished. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah had given the power in the hands of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to such an extent, जिसको बारे को आलम के परवाह नहीं, ऐसे बाजू के उम्मत पे लाखों सलाम, हाथ जिस्म को था गनी कर दिया, मुझे बहने समाहत पे लाखों सलाम. Mullah Ali Khalis says, he reports in Jamal Masail, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would do household chores when he would work with the necessities around the house, or when he would be in the battlefield. And in the battlefield, if anybody would to meet Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then they would find that his hands would be much more firmer and harder in comparison to normality. On the battlefield, the situation of the blessed hands of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would be different, and when he exited the battlefield, it would resume to its normal softness and plushness. Like I mentioned earlier, stones would adopt the shape of the feet of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If we go above the feet of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the blessed ankles were firm, very strong in composition, and Hazrat Zuhaifa says that I remember the brightness and the shine of the calves of the feet of Rasulullah sallallahu, the calves of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. They would be in such a manner that it would have an impact on the minds of the people that saw the blessed calves of Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And when one would see it from Sahaba, they would hasten to share what they had seen with other Sahaba Ikram radhiyallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. As a Surah bin Malik, we probably heard this, the journey of migration, they were promised in terms of reward. By the Kuffar of Makkah, they were promised 100 camels. Some traditions say red camels, anyway, 100 camels were promised. That if anybody captured Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ma'azallah and brought him back to Makkah al-Mukarramah, they would be rewarded. Surah bin Malik trained, came close, and he was now following Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, Suraka, what do you want? At first Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not turn around. He said, Suraka, what do you want? Then he turned around, and as Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at him, the earth gripped the horse of Suraka. When all 4 feet of the horse were embedded in the ground quite firmly, and the horse could not move. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, leave, for there is much more than 100 camels in store for you. Leave, go back. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, if you forgive me and release my horse, I will turn around. And so it happened, he turned around and then he, little while he thought, no, 100 camels, it's a lot of money. He turned back. Now the third time, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam said to him, Suraka, I see in your hands 2 gold bangles that will be yours from the booty, from the spoils of war. When Muslims attack, and from Caesar's possessions that will come, and that will be in your hands. With that happening, he said, okay. As he was returning, reflecting, and when others were coming on the same path, by this time his heart had already mellowed. Conversation with Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam of any form would naturally mellow the heart. His heart was by now mellowed already. And when he was returning to Makkah, when he met others, he said, I've been there, I see, you can go back. He didn't say that he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Neither did he say that I had a conversation with Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Neither did he share his experience that this is how my horse was gripped by the earth. But he said, I've been there and I've seen, but you people can go back. And the time of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Sayyidina Umar was the Khalifa. And at that point in time, Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, when he saw the 2 bangles, he asked, where is Suraka? Suraka was brought, said, these are the bangles that were promised to you by Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Suraka was the only Sahaba that wore gold on his head proudly because it was given by Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he describes, because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was ascending the mountain, and he saw the calves of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he didn't have any other way of describing it. So he describes it like how a Bedouin would describe, or like how a villager would describe something. And he said, كَأَنَّهُ جُمَّارًا, meaning that when the date tree takes out a new leaf, then the inside of that, the marrow of that is white, but it has a shine on it. And that shine he attributed and said that just like that, and even more than that, was the shine on the calves of Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. ساق اصل قدم شاخ نخل کرم شمع راہ اسعادت پہ لاکھوں سلام. تو half an hour again. Hazrat Zakwan radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that as he accompanied Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said he noted even in the darkness of the night, with the brightness of the moon, wherever Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam walked, there was never a shadow. Sayyidina Usman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Sayyidina Usman ibn radiallahu ta'ala anhu explains, and he says this is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not warrant that the foot of a normal human being even come on the shadow of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Tomorrow night, inshallah, we will discuss a few other aspects. Going up from here, we'll speak a little about the knees, about the thighs, and come up wherever we can. I know tomorrow night is last night of time that is allocated to me, and in this series of discussions that we've been having, and inshallah we will go as far as I can. Inshallah, time permitting. Health permitting, I haven't been well recently. Make dua for recovery of my health as well. Inshallah, we will continue from here tomorrow night. Jazakumullah once again. It was a very pleasant audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا وكريمنا ومولانا محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين. اللهم افتح لنا بالخير واختم لنا بالخير واجعل نواقض امورنا بالخير بيدك الخير انك على كل شيء قدير. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى اله واصحابه اجمعين برحمتك.